I'm a hobbyist. I never did any commercial radio things in my life. I was a philosophy teacher at some point, and specializing in Plato philosophy, and I work with a lot of musicians who are, I don't have any slides, and my presentation, unfortunately, maybe will bore to death some of the more technical people, but since I'm already here, I guess I have to say a few things. So I was a philosophy student and a music lover from the very early time, and I wasn't talented enough to play anything, but I was good enough to talk with people. So I was hanging out with most of the musicians, mainly electronic musicians who was working all the time, and I learned a few things from them. So a big part of creative life of anybody is to find ideas, or so many people think. And the big problem with my friends was always that musical ideas wasn't original enough, and so the work of the artist would be sometimes not appreciated by the public. And a lot of time curators wouldn't allow certain work to exist in the format of the radio station and whatever, because it isn't fit enough to prearrange material, or it was, sounds like something else. So by chance, because I was using and I still do a lot of radio and a lot of talk stuff, but it's mainly humanitarian and slightly technological talk stuff. I was very interested in broadcasting, and I did a lot of experimental video audio stuff with friends from various places. And by chance, I encountered Liquidshop a year or two ago. And then I spent being not very good at programming languages. There isn't one. I didn't know what to use. So I will just quickly summarize my ideas and, give platform to other more talented people. But so I spend considerable amount of my personal time reading the book and how it all started. And basically the necessity of it, as I remember correctly, was the studio campus, and you want to listen to techno music while you're working at night and stuff like that. And it was immediately fascinated me. So I built my own radio station, and it was kind of life-changing in a way, because I will go a little bit back. The major problem when you work with a lot of material is the curation part. So you usually don't know what you want. And if you somehow working with lots of people, there is certain paths that has been always taken, and it always leads to the same results, and it produces boredom, and in turn, it just, the work fall apart. And what Liquidshop was very successful in bringing is the ability to curate material without personal noise. So my first radio station was just a few lines from the book, I guess, and the crossfade thing. And by the years, I was collecting huge part of material. Of course, now it's digital, but you also got records and CDs, and you only know like 10% out of it, especially if it's huge. You don't really go there and you look at shelf and say, what I gonna hear? You get your favorite stuff and you play it all the time, and that's it. So before the Liquidshop, I use a couple of Python scripts I use Emacs, and so I wrote some scripts that would play me random music, and it could play from the beginning of the album, or it could play random songs, but it will never do crossfades. It will never do sound normalization. It will never do load, and you can just go to website and you can listen to it. So it was tremendous. And what I found out is that you can have, as a creative person, I used to do programs with guys when we just listen to music without knowing what's going to come next. And if you have a good enough library, the combination is remarkable. And then you can also use live input from it, and you can use all kinds of interactive things like filtering with the BPM or the tags. That was just amazing. And so my point about all of this is that before the Liquid Soap, I am not aware of any situation when you can basically build your own system. Like a lot of musicians have their own systems, but it's not the systems of playback. It's usually the system of composition. So the Liquid Soap is the first programming language slash radio station software that is have a case of making the individual preferences to be realized. And it's actually the case against any automation, because if you get like YouTube algorithms and just pure randomness, I mean pure randomness in a sense that you just don't know what is going to play next, and you just have a script that find the file. It's good, but then the transition and the whole flow of the thing is not so impressive. But with the algorithm, you always, like YouTube stuff, for example, or Spotify or whatever people use, you never actually discover anything new there. You just get more of what you previously liked. So, for example, if you have, I don't know, Tangerine Dream playlist, you will get all kinds of Tangerine Dream tracks suggested, but never something that is not Tangerine Dream, but in a kind of line parallel to that, and also would be interesting. And with Liquid Soap, I was able to make a lot of discoveries, actually, from the musical perspective. Because if you think about it, you can get two different tracks, and if you use amazing how you call it, auto-cue stuff that Matthias was developing, and even existing crossfade functions, it actually sounds like one. So what we did like a lot of tracks, and then we insert lots of lectures in it too. So you would have a music, and you don't know what's gonna come next, and then you go to the lecture, and because you cannot imagine what is gonna come, you listen to it differently. So anyway, I'm not really aware of what I'm trying to say here, besides that we didn't really have anything that can serve lots of curated libraries as Liquid Soap does. I'm now trying to, for example, lots of creative people would play the live train stations on the monitor while they work, because that would make them feel like they're not home and they're not bored. So I know people who would have like a huge TV, and it would have a live London train station or whatever on it, and they would be more alerted to stuff around them. So what I want to build is some kind of live streaming thing, which would be for example responded to some big mass of data, I don't know, like temperature outside or something. But all of this is a little bit boring, I guess, and not really gonna make people happy here. So I would rather stop early now. And before I left, there is this Marshall McLuhan. I was just reading Marshall McLuhan Understanding Media book just a few days ago, and so there was this story about Chinese farmer, which was really remarkable. And I just want to read it before I left. So there is a Chinese farmer, and some let's say Confucius was traveling through the Chinese farmland and to the regions, and he saw like an old man working. I'm just reading from the book right now, in his garden, and he had dug an irrigation ditch. The man would descend into the well, fetch up a vessel of water in his arms, and pour it out into the ditch. While his efforts were tremendous, the results appeared to be very meager. So Confucius was saying to him, there is a way whereby you can irrigate 100 ditches in one day, and you can do much with little effort. Would you not like to hear about it? Then the gardener stood up, looked at him, and said, and what would that be? And Confucius replied, you take a wooden lever, weight at the back and light in front. In this way, you can bring up water so quickly that it just gushes out. This is called a draw well. Then anger rose up in the old man's face, and he said, I have heard my teachers say that whoever uses machines does all his work like a machine. He who does his work like a machine grows hurt like a machine, and he who carries the heart of the machine in his breast loses loss his simplicity. He who has lost his simplicity become unsure in the strivings of his soul. Uncertainty in the strivings of the soul is something which does not agree with honest sense. It is not that I do not know of such things. I'm ashamed to use them. So my point is that liquid soap it makes life somehow less random, because you can use your own sources to create your own playlist, and you can listen to your own stuff in a manner that neither of the modern company solution like YouTube or streaming services will allow you to do. And for that, I salute all the developers and people who work on that. And now I have to go out and get out again, I guess, before everybody gets angry for me just wasting their time. Thank you so much.